Good afternoon. Today is the 21st of March 2022. Welcome to Lunchtime News here on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Sanita Senanayaka. News First, where the people come first. Let's first take a look at the headlines.
Kerosene shortage causes a stir in Orugodavatta. A man collapses while standing at a gas queue in Kalutara. Police on the lookout for fuel murder suspect. Electricity prices increase.
තිබුණ මිලට වඩා 100%කින් වැඩි වෙනවා. ලයිට් දාන්න නෙමෙයි ලයිට් දිහා බලාගෙන ඉන්න තමයි තියෙන්නේ.
ජල විදුලි බලාගාරවල වතුර මට්ටම බොහොම අඩු මට්ටමක තියෙන්නේ.
China lends $500 million to Sri Lanka with 3-year grace period. Ukraine port city at risk of Russian attacks.
Kerosene is a basic necessity. However, people have to stand in long queues day and night to purchase these essential items. Frustrated with this situation, the people obstructed the roads near the Orugodavatta fuel station and expressed their displeasure against the government.
Even though police arrived at the location to control the situation, the people said that they would not move away from the road until they receive kerosene.
The Ministry of Health has instructed hospital officials to take necessary measures to prevent a shortage of gas cylinders at hospitals. The ministry said that instructions have been given to gas dealers to give priority to hospitals when releasing cylinders.
Many queues to purchase gas were seen across the country today as well. A large group of people were seen at a gas dealership store in Ranawala, Kegal. Afterwards, the group engaged in a protest blocking the Colombo Kandy main road, demanding solutions to the issue. Meanwhile, an individual who had fainted while standing in a queue in Vadduwa, Kalutara was admitted to a hospital. Our correspondent said the individual was admitted to the Panadura base hospital. A long queue of people were seen at a gas dealership store in Pokunuvita, Horana last night. More queues to purchase gas were seen in Kohuala.
Meanwhile, police has commenced an investigation into the whereabouts of a three-wheeler driver who had murdered an individual in Horogolle due to a quarrel that broke out while obtaining fuel. The victim is a 29-year-old resident of the Colombo 14 area.
A dispute broke out between a three-wheel driver and a motorcyclist who arrived at the Horogolle petrol station last night. Police said that the three-wheel driver had obtained fuel, left the site and ambushed the motorcyclist later, attacking him with a sharp weapon, killing him. The Nitambo police have commenced investigations to arrest the suspect. Meanwhile, people still waiting in long queues to obtain fuel. People in Polonnaruwa spent the night standing in fuel queues yesterday. Long queues can still be seen in all parts of the island, and diesel and petrol is not available at most filling stations.
A container filled with petrol that was inside an apartment complex in Blue Mandal, Kotahena caught fire yesterday. The fire was caught by a leak in a kerosene stove.
The fire broke out at around 6 p.m. last evening. People continue to face multiple risks due to the increase in use of kerosene stoves and having in their possession cans filled with fuel due to the shortage of gas and fuel in the country.
They say the fire broke out due to a petrol bottle in the house, but we don't know the real story. Our son has a bike, and for his convenience, he has filled petrol into a bottle. Our aunt, elder brother and uncle were at home. My aunt left from the back entrance and was caught in the fire. She is now in the ICU. She had jumped from the 4th floor to escape the fire.
The police arrived in the area to inspect the site where the fire broke out.
Now, according to reports, the fire was caused by a leak in a kerosene stove. Moving on, speaking at a media briefing in Colombo this morning, Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Kee Zen Hong, has said that Sri Lanka has requested China to provide a $1.5 billion in financial assistance.
正如我前面提到的，中国和斯里兰卡是泛滥与共的好朋友、老朋友、真朋友。
As I have just mentioned, China and Sri Lanka are good friends which have overcome many difficulties together. Every time the Sri Lankan friends met a difficulty, our Chinese people will never be absent. Since the outbreak of the pandemic, despite of the fact that the international rating agencies have downgraded the sovereign ratings of Sri Lanka, China has been firm in supporting Sri Lanka in combat the COVID pandemic, in rejuvenate the economy and to support the livelihood of the Sri Lankan people. Up till now, China has provided altogether $2.8 billion financial assistance to Sri Lanka. And this kind of assistance is not affiliated with any additional conditions. On March 18, 2020, the China Development Bank has offered Sri Lanka a facility loan worth $500 million. And on the 12th of April last year, CDB also provided another $500 million loan. The interest costs of these loans are very competitive and favorable, and the term of the loan is 10 years with 3 years of grace period. And on the 17th August last year, the CDB also provided Sri Lanka a term loan worth 2 billion Chinese yuan, which is approximately 300 million US dollars. Last year, the two central banks of China and Sri Lanka has signed a bilateral currency swap worth 10 billion Chinese yuan, which highly stabilized the foreign exchange level of Sri Lanka and also promoted international investment, approximately 1.5 billion US dollars, this swap arrangement. So altogether, all this comes to 2.8 billion US dollars. Also, despite of the challenges posed by the pandemic, the large-scale infrastructure projects by the Chinese companies are moving smoothly forward. Recently, the Sri Lankan government also sent new requests of 1 billion USD financing facility and 1.5 billion USD buyer's credit. Relevant authorities in China are actively studying the request.
1亿美元的贷款或15亿美元的信贷，中国的金融部门呢正在积极研究。
Sri Lanka has to pay highest commercial loans to China, highest commercial debt, and Sri Lanka is looking forward to debt restructuring. Is there any discussion already started, or is there any discussion? Sri Lankan government, has the Sri Lankan government expressed any kind of interest in starting that kind of discussion so far?
China and Sri Lanka are keeping close negotiations on economic and financial cooperation. Our aim is to help Sri Lankan friends to overcome the current difficulties.
We are now joined by Newsfirst Azra San, who is at the location of the press conference. Azra?
Yes, the media briefing convened by the Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka concluded in Colombo a short while ago. Now, according to the Chinese ambassador, Sri Lanka has requested for financial assistance of 2.5 billion US dollars from China. Now, the ambassador said that this 2.5 billion consists of a 1.5 credit line and also a 1 billion loan from China. However, he did not give any more clarifications as to what this money will be used in Sri Lanka, but he said that discussions and negotiations are underway in order to ascertain how this money will be spent in Sri Lanka. Now, also when inquired about the free trade agreement between China and Sri Lanka, the Chinese ambassador said that discussions are underway and the seventh round of seventh round of talks will take place in the near future, and that they understand that there is a public concern about the FTA and the inability of a draft about the FTA, but he is assured that China in no way will take any undue advantage from the bilateral relations between Sri Lanka, as they will be standing with us very closely in order to help us overcome the current economic and other social crises that we face in the country. Now, this is the update that we have from the media briefing that was convened with the Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka. So stay tuned. I will bring you more details on our primetime news at 9 tonight. It's back to the main studio.
Thank you, Azra, for that comprehensive report. And as I said, you can stay tuned to our further bulletins and our primetime bulletin at 9 tonight for further details regarding this press conference. Now, moving on, while Sri Lanka maintains close ties with other countries to find solutions to the economic crisis, several views regarding the current situation in the country was expressed in the political sphere.
The gas cylinder, which was at 2,180 rupees, has now risen to 4,199 rupees, perplexing everyone because that is a steep rise by 1,500 rupees. It is impossible to determine where the prices will stop. The electricity bills will increase. According to our information, the CEB will increase the price of 30 units of electricity by 500%. The people will have to stare at light bulbs in the dark. The backbench MPs of the government are saying this path is wrong and we have to fix it. A lot of people are saying that the government will crash and the government will split. I tell you responsibly that the president came to Anuradhapura and took oaths, and he will not go back on that decision. Some army officials are more closer to the ministers in government than we are. But as representatives of the people, I clearly say that I have only been given 2 opportunities to share my views with the president. That is a type of democracy in the country right now. If there are parties that can't stay with the government, who have their own personal agendas, that can't grant the wishes of the people who voted for them, they must discuss this with the President and the Prime Minister and solve these issues within the government. There might be people here who have around 500,000 or 1 million in their bank accounts because they are from Ratnapura. You think you have $1 million in your bank account, but in reality you don't. The value has dropped to 500,000 rupees. If you want to get it back to $1 million, you must bring down the dollar below 275 and keep it below 210. We need a plan for that. We can't solve that issue by begging for essentials from India and just meeting the daily requirements every time. We understand the pain of the people. As a sensitive government, we take responsibility. Please give us some time. When several parliamentarians express their opinions, when Sajid Premadasa draws crowds to the golf face, they think the government will fall. We give the people of the country a guarantee that no matter what happens, they can't bring down this government. The only thing the ministers did on time was release their court cases early. They don't care about the people. The government doesn't care about the people in queues. They don't care about the schools closing. They don't care about the businessmen. They don't care about the investors. They don't care about the farmers and the fishermen. This government is not accountable to the people.
In more local news, the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka granted approval for the Ceylon Electricity Board to disrupt the supply of electricity today as well. A 5-hour power cut is expected today. Groups P to W will experience a 2 and 40-minute power cut between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 1 hour 50-minute power cut between 5 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Accordingly, groups A to L will experience a 3-hour and 20-minute power cut between 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and 1 hour and 40-minute power cut between 6 p.m. to 11 p.m.
The water levels at hydropower stations are at a very low level. This is a tie of drought. During the past 5 years, they didn't make power stations. This has led to a power crisis in the country. As a country that depends on hydropower, we are experiencing a dry spell. The capacity at hydropower stations has reduced. Especially all reservoirs around Lakshapana are experiencing reduced water levels. The water levels have dropped to around 1/5 of the capacity at reservoirs. We had to severely limit the production of electricity through hydropower. The Samanala Reservoir, the Lakshapana Reservoir complex are seeing reduced water levels. In the past 5 years, the electricity requirement in the country has increased day by day. People have built factories, new houses, increasing consumption.
ජලාසත් සිඳිලා තියෙනවා. ඒ එකම පහුගිය අවුරුදු 5 මේ රටේ විදුලිය අවශ්‍යතාවය දවසින් දවස වැඩි වෙනවා. මිනිස්සු අලුතෙන් කර්මාන්තශාලා හදනවා, අලුතෙන් ගෙවල් හදනවා, විදුලි පරිභෝජනය එන්න දවසින් දවස විදුලි පරිභෝජනය නෑ හරි කියන්නකෝ විදුලි පරිභෝජනය විශේෂයෙන්ම රටේ වැඩි වෙලා තියෙනවා. මේ විදුලි පරිභෝජනයට අවශ්‍ය ප්‍රමාණයට පහුගිය අවුරුදු 5 බලාගාර හැදිලත් නැහැ. පහුගිය අවුරුදු
During the past 5 years, power stations haven't been built to meet this electricity demand. During the Yahapalane regime, they have not built the required amount of power stations to meet this demand.
ආගාර හදලා නැහැ. ඉතින් ඒක අපේ හදපු බලාගාර කොහොම තියෙන්නකො මහත්තයෝ ඔබ? නෑ පොඩ්ඩක් අයින් කරමු මට. නෑ අයින් කරන්න මම යනවා දැන්. පොඩ්ඩක් ඉන්න මහත්තයා පොඩ්ඩක්. හරි එහෙනම් බොහොම ස්තුතියි. ඕක තමයි තත්ත්වය. හරි.
And that brings us to an end of this edition of Lunchtime News here on TV1. I'm Sanita Senanayake for News First, where the people come first. Take care and stay safe.